You know the biggest thing about building furniture? In order to achieve the right product, the critical decision is made at the very beginning. You sort of can't use the wrong components and the materials and expect to get the right check at the end of it. And I discovered that's pretty much our life. It's really about deciding who you want to be. In Nigeria, there are many business practices that are based on cheating, taking advantage of the customer, or business deals that are not conducted fairly. When I wanted to start my business as a young person, manufacturing furniture, I decided that two things were critical for me. I was never going to sleep with a man to get a job, and two, I was never going to pay a bribe. It seemed like naivety of idealism, but I knew that I could make it work. A year or so into my business, I gave my life to the Lord. Considering I come from a Muslim background, that became a whole new experience for me. Moving from being a Muslim to becoming a Christian, my Christianity was not social in my understanding. I understood the word of God is meant to be obeyed, and I took it literally and wanted to live my life by it. And finding examples that guided me through those stories helped me to start the journey. I found the book by Larry Bucket, Business by the Book. That fascinated me and got me very curious that, so God can actually own my business. What I decided at the beginning is that in the pursuit of building institution or building wealth, I will not deter from righteousness.
But from the first day, there was just something special about her. I mean, the Awosika you see today was the same Awosika then, full of life, full of zeal, excited about everything. The church was yet to start when the Lord started speaking to me. He said, you see that lady? I would like you to start a business fellowship when you start, and I would like her to head it. I was like, okay.
I had started heading the business fellowship in my church, and I was teaching the things I was learning from Larry Bucket's books.
The vision of the business fellowship was all about taking the church out of the four walls, and the businesswoman, the businessman in the marketplace, the government official in the public service. It is trying to teach the nation how to do business. It's our own way of contributing to stemming corruption and giving another way to do business. She's really a good teacher, and she's a mentor to a lot of people.
And eventually, it led to starting the TV ministry. At the peak of it, I think we were running in about 7 stations across the country. And it started something within the church. The fact that as Christians, we could build businesses working by biblical principles. Trust cannot be given without being earned. So your credibility in a business or as an employee is about how you prove yourself when you do finally get the opportunity. So if you prove yourself with one person, invariably, in my words, I think you've proven yourself to 10 times X number of people. Because that one person probably knows so many people. And that's why more than any time else in your business, doing everything right and giving the best of yourself for every opportunity you get in your startup stage and later will always be added value and a great asset to you. It was a tough message to be preaching because for me to preach it, I had to live it. I had to live it. If I couldn't live it, I couldn't preach it. So that strengthened me to be able to live it, despite the challenges involved with it. But The more I did what I saw according to the word, the more I prospered in many ways, even with the challenges related to it. And each time I tested the word out and I saw the value, I gained more confidence and courage to move forward. So I had this particular shipment that came from Belgium, but they were high value items. So at that point in Nigeria, duty on furniture was 100%. So literally nobody was willing to pay because it was high. And it was high because the government was trying to discourage importation and to encourage local production, which is good, so we can create jobs for our people. But typically, most people, they would declare only part of the goods in the container and they would make a deal to get around it. I wouldn't do that because everything I'd learned and the principle I'd chosen to live by didn't fit in with that. So when this shipment came, I think it was the highest single duty we had ever paid up to that moment. Now, my clearing agent had always worked for us and he knows those views that I hold. But I think he just thought, how can this woman ever want to pay this kind of money to government? So when the duty document came out and he saw that I would have to pay about 20 million naira to government, he thought, it doesn't make sense to him. So he came to me and said, I know you like to do the right thing. I know this is what you like to do, but who pays government 20 million naira to clear 2 40-foot containers? It's insanity. That I thought I should come to you one more time and say, look, with not more than 8 million, any normal person will clear these containers. I thought for a minute, then I said, you know what, if for any reason we have a problem in the process of you clearing those goods, will I in any way be able to go on my knees before God and ask him for help? Because I would have gotten myself into that situation. Because he's a Christian. So he was quiet. So I said to him, that's the reason I will not do it. Because all I would gain would be money. But what I will lose would be more than the money. So I said, go and pay the duty. The way I always describe it, it's like writing a book. You're writing a book every day by your actions. And you write good, it's down. You write bad things, it's down. Somewhere along the line, someone's going to read those lines to you. And you're going to have to account for it. So it's better to be clear about who you are. And it's better to define your values before you run into crossroads. Because it actually helps you to resolve your crossroads much faster.
Oh, well, for Mrs. Awosika, she's been able to train us, build us up with so much confidence. And she has a passion for integrity. She believes in hard work. And she believes in credibility. And Mrs. Awosika will tell you, if you can't get it in a straight way, then forget about it.
Mrs. Awosika wants us to work with integrity. She wants us to work to satisfy our customers. That whatever we have to do it right. It's just like for the chairs that we produce. You are supposed to use a screw that is 6, and because you want to finish it, you know that 4 can do it, and you decided to use 4, which can, at the end of the day, make the chair bad. That is against integrity we are talking about in production. So we always make sure that everything is done the right way.
So the funny thing about furniture is there is a lot that is dependent on the integrity of the person selling it to you. I would deliver the right piece of furniture to my customer, even though he doesn't understand, and sometimes will judge me wrongly and buy a cheaper one because he thinks I'm expensive, because he can't understand the value. But I will have to hold my integrity to be true by making sure that what I say to him, I'm selling to him, is what I am. And hopefully time proves that I'm right and causes him to return to me.
I'm a salesperson, and I initially understood that before you could get a sale, you need to offer something, not necessarily to bribe and corrupt people, but you just need to be able to give something. in order for you to get that sale. But it changed. I didn't know much about Mrs. Awosika when I joined, but after I joined, she told me about our values, her own personal values, then the core values of the company. She made me draw up a new company profile based on those values that she had worked on, and said I should put them up and make everybody to understand. And it was challenging initially. You know, you walk up to a customer and the customer tells you, this is what I want to do. Before I can give you the business, I just felt, is this going to work? Until she sat me down again to make me understand that you just have to say no every time. Just keep saying no. I realized that first, be professional. 2, give absolute quality. Don't compromise.
We've had to lose businesses. We've had to forgo some things just for the sake of who Mrs. Awosika is and what she has trained us to believe as well. It's painful. It's not easy. You know, at times you see some businesses slip by.
In 2004, there was an announcement in the news that just says importation of any form of furniture is banned. By that single announcement, about 80% of our business was shut down. Now, that was a very scary moment. My option was to choose to become a smuggler, and a lot of people chose that route. But I knew that as a Christian, and one that had preached doing things the biblical way, it was not an option for me. But I also knew God, and knew that He's not a God that sets your feet upon the rock and removes the rock from under your feet. So I called my staff, had a meeting, and said, look, I'm not firing anybody. We're going to go through this. I just need you guys to pray for me and ask the Lord to grant me the grace and wisdom for this season. I looked at the whole furniture value chain, and I found that the most difficult to replicate locally would be office seating because it's very technical. I went to the largest French office seating manufacturer and went to talk to them about having a joint venture in Nigeria. So they laughed because they're the largest in France, one of the top 10 in the world. They sell everywhere in the world, but they only produce in France. But I had faith. I'd been doing business with them for up to about 10 years then, but I'd left a good record. So at the point that I needed them, that record spoke for me. 2 weeks after, they called to say, you know what, we'll give you technical support and we'll do like 5% investment. As we built the business plan and everything, they changed their mind and moved their investment from 5% to 21%, and all technical support and training of all the staff that would be required. And as they agreed to make the investment, one of the Nigerian banks agreed to also invest in the project as a partner as well, and 2 other individuals invested in it, and that's how that factory was formed. I then went on to set up the other factories in order to meet our entire value chain within the business. At the end of it, we became a bigger and a better company than we were before the crisis.
Mrs. Awosika has proven over the last 21 years that I've known her to be a woman of integrity, and her integrity has stand her out in different spheres of life. It's her integrity that took her to the echelon of Nigerian's government, where she became a member of the sovereign wealth. Her integrity also stood her out that she didn't know anybody in Forbes Bank. She became a director, and not only a director, within a space of time, she became someone who is being sought after to become even the chairman of the First Bank of Nigeria. And she has many companies that are looking out for her to become directors in their offices.
First Bank is well known for its governance structure. So anybody who would be the chairman of First Bank has to be somebody with a lot of high ethics, high integrity. That's why she was chosen to become the chairman of First Bank. First Bank is the biggest bank in the country, so that puts it in a bigger light.
Cadbury Nigeria had been through a financial misstatement in 2008, and the entire leadership of the business had been asked to leave. So the business was recruiting both executives and non-executives, looking for people that can restore the integrity and the good name that Cadbury's always had. And one of the names that came up, not once, not twice, but several times, was Billy's name as a non-executive director to this business. And by unanimous vote from everyone, she was invited to the board in 2009 and has been on our board ever since then. For people to visibly see that she's really active on the board has helped, in growing the confidence of the company.
You do things every day. You really don't realize how many people are watching you. You don't realize people are taking note. You don't realize people are observing. They encounter you in different ways. You're leaving a legacy a little at a time.
Ibukun Awosika is my mentor and a woman I've known for over 10 years. She's inspired me in a lot of ways. She's become a reference point to a lot of other young women and men who think it will be difficult to actually be someone who's a person of faith and also be able to thrive in doing business in a country like Nigeria. She said the Lord was speaking to her to spend more time with the ladies between the ages of 25 and 35. And we've had a couple of events, mini conferences, where she spends 3-4 hours just sharing on spirituality, marriage and finance and career, and just having a whole life. You must care for you, you must know you must embrace you. And in embracing, you also find your faith and be a good wife and be a good mother, and not allowing your business to take your life completely over. I guess you're speaking out of experience. She's very, very well respected. She's also someone who's very influential. So she's a culture shaper. She's become an example of how to do business as a Christian in Nigeria.
In the last 28 years, I believe that the level of success that we've achieved as a business has shown that even though our value system was taught not to make it possible to succeed in this environment, we have proven that not to be true. What you will find is we make one choice that predetermines many choices. And the most fascinating thing for me is the choice to accept Christ as Lord and Savior is actually the biggest and the only choice that we need to make. I trust who He is. And in trusting Him, I'm willing to follow Him.
You can see her faith in her, in the way she talks, the way she deals with every staff. Ready to listen to you, ready to show you how to grow. Our mission and vision is just all about doing the right things, showing integrity in what you do.
I think essentially, the principles that the Bible means for us to practice out in business is meant to test us, to prepare us, to build the foundation for the different seasons of our life. Knowing God is having the absolute courage and confidence to know that you can overcome anything. Knowing Him is having the guts to dare the odds, knowing that He will make a way for you, no matter what it seems. And even if He doesn't, so what? It just means that's not the right route, and He's saving me from something that I can't see. But knowing Him helps you to stand against everything and pushes you forward. In my experience, that's how the journey has been. That there are moments when you're like, God, what exactly is this for? Why am I being persecuted for righteousness? Because sometimes you feel like you're punished for doing the right thing. But then when you know for whom you do it, and you understand the nature of who your God is, you stand and fight. I'm not afraid of a fight. So being a Christian is not about being weak and vulnerable and allowing people to walk you over. It's about standing up for what is right and what is true at any point in time and having a voice irrespective of what the other voices are. All of this has allowed me the courage to stand, knowing that I'm standing exactly where the Lord has called me to. I'm doing exactly what I know that I've been called to do. And that it won't always be easy. Otherwise, Jesus would not have said, in the world you will see troubles. But know ye that I have already overcome. And so that victory that I have in Christ, I hold on to at the most trying times and walk through every route, knowing at the end of it, that victory will speak for me. Whether in business or in my corporate life or as a mother or a wife, or as a citizen of my country with hopes and aspirations for a great country that I believe that God has blessed us with, my faith has been the center of my life. And every day I thank the Lord for the opportunity to have made the choice of Christ.